those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Financial reports. Frank, do you have anything you want to add? Or?
No, I don't think there's anything so unusual. You'll notice the foundation aid payment this month is about $6,500 less than it has been, and that's because of the cross-the-board cut from the state. So we'll be getting 86 instead of 192 in the month through June. That was causing a little difference, I think. Everything else pretty routine.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial statement.
I'll second it.
Moving second to accept the financial report as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Chuck, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Item 5, reports. Are you going to use corrections?
We're going to go ahead and have Gretchen Hopeland, who is the middle school teacher for Respect County Schools, talk to you about Corey instruction, some methodology that we use in our middle school in science and social studies. And Corey stands for cognitively oriented reading instruction, but it's reading instruction that comes through science and social studies. So
we're going to stand the word that
it's yours.
Maybe
Wherever
it's
you can see the board best.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Hopefully I broke this down enough so that I get it to understand. But this is my 3rd year in Corey. I was trained the first year. I think a lot of schools went through it. We currently have 6 teachers at the middle school using Corey, 3 in social studies, 3 in science, ranging from 5th grade all the way to 7th and 8th grade in science. Really what this is it just incorporates reading strategies into social studies and science class, so the students are hopefully making a transition to use what they're learning in reading to bridge the gap into our content classes. It's really pushing to get students motivated, to gain their interest, to gain their engagement, so they're able to gain the concept knowledge, to learn on a deeper level rather than just surface learn. You just don't hit something, test on it, and move on. You really go deep in the subject, so that hopefully the learning is long term. In this, we really push that students become immersed in our content. We pick a topic, we divide it by quarters, and students use nonfiction material. We use reference materials, we use websites, collaboration, writing. We incorporate all the subjects pretty much into my social studies or science classes. There's 4 main principles that Corey follows. The first one is engagement, that we've all learned that if we can't get students to be engaged, they're not going to learn anything. We want to motivate them, and through that we push choice on them. That we've learned that if they have a choice of what they want to learn and take ownership, they take more pride in that, and long term, they take more learning out of what they're studying. So, I give them a choice on what kind of project they want to do. I give them a choice, I set parameters, but they can make the choice on what they want to do, how they want to get there, and they kind of feel like they're taking their own ownership and that kind of thing. We really work on background knowledge, what they know, and building their background knowledge so that we're building on top of each other. We're scaffolding on what we start with and where we're wanting to go in the end. And a lot of it is social interaction. We collaborate on a daily basis. Students collaborate with pairs, with small groups, with large groups. We post questions, we debate, that kind of thing. So really we write, we read a lot even more, then we read some more, and then we collaborate and talk about it even more. The framework, students begin, when we start a unit, we talk about their background knowledge. What do you know about Native Americans? My students this year didn't know anything. They barely knew that it was an Indian kind of thing. We got to explorers, they didn't even know Marco Polo was a person. They thought it was a swimming game. So our background knowledge generally starts out generally small, which is okay, so then we start to build questions. But what do you want to know? Do you want to know how Indians survived? What did they do to make shelters when they were attacked or those kind of things? Where did they live? How did this happen? How did England gain power in the New World with the colonies and those kind of things? In science, they're inquiring, well, how does the chambers of the heart work? Or how does something else work? Students are asking the questions. They're taking ownership of what they want to learn. So we move through major amounts of nonfiction material. Textbook is kind of like a supplement for us, that the school has purchased major amounts of nonfiction materials, and they are amazing. I think most of us in middle school now have Almo projector machines that students can see pictures in color. They can see things happening through the computer, and today I did like a a trade map that it actually moved for the students on the projector. They could see what was happening with trade routes. So it's become real life for them. So we've noticed that through interesting material, they've become engaged in what we're learning. Through Class Directed, we kind of go through that. To answering these questions, we set up notes. We take notes. We figure out like what's important, what's not, what's fluff. If it's fluff, is it important or is it cool? We go through something important. Is it a fact that it's really, really solid? We need to know it. We go through our note-taking process, and we then put it into a search and retrieve. We answer our questions, then the students search, and they put their information into graphic organizers. And we really correlate that with our reading teachers, that if they're using Venn diagrams, we like to use them in content areas as well. If we're comparing and contrasting two things, we like to correlate that so that students are familiarized with what they're doing in class. So then again, there's that bridge between reading and the content. And we bring in the reading strategies, cause and effect, background knowledge, rereading, retell, fact and opinion, information, determining importance, those kind of things. And then through that, students are able to share and collaborate with us on the facts they've learned, that students can then say, did you know this? I learned this today. Did you know this? That they're actually figuring out, okay, I asked a question and now I know how to find the answer to it. And through that, we teach them how to navigate through a book, text features, what does bold words mean, those kind of things. And they come together, they organize their materials, and they put together an end product. I brought them with you that some are projects, some are tests, some are quizzes, some are a paragraph writing. It's a large variety that, we understand students need to learn how to test. Because when they get to high school, they're going to test. But we kind of try to mix it up that they see a large variety of something. That one day students might have to write 3 sentences telling us what you learned today. That could be a form of an assessment. At the end of the project, we usually do a bigger one, whether it's a big project, whether it's a test, anything like that. And so really, Corey really promotes hands-on learning, active learning, and engaging learning. That it's not just me standing up teaching the class, because there's days where students ask me questions and then we start this whole debate on what do we think the answer to that question. That there's very little lecturing, there's very little textbook reading saying read the questions, read the chapter, do the questions. There's very little of that. We read together, we talk about vocabulary, and those kind of things. That we just kind of bring up new things that the students want to learn. So I brought some things with you, a couple things that I've done. And I brought 2 gamuts kind of to show you that we studied Explorers, and I gave the students a rubric. I think all of the 6 of us that use Corey use rubrics, have the students dial in on what they're doing. I gave the students a choice. They had to learn 4 Explorers. I gave them a choice of 20, I think. They had to choose 4. They researched, I gave them some parameters. They had to say, okay, do I want to earn A, B, or C? Then they chose. Am I going to write 10 sentences? Am I going to write 8? Am I going to write 5? They make those choices. I brought 2 students with you. This is a student who struggles severely in school. We've worked heavily with the parents. We've gotten parent support. This little girl has changed her academic career around just in a few weeks. That she has taken off like no other. The first quarter, couldn't read her writing, those kind of things. That I think that she took complete ownership of this, that she got into this. That she went home and Mom called and says, you know what, she's going home and looking on the internet, finding more information. That she just couldn't get enough of it. So she's a student that she worked her tail off. That a student that if I gave her a test, I don't know how she would have done. And then I brought another student that, one who also went home, went above and beyond, and you can tell there's a ton of information.